My name is Ilara Voss, and I am 33 years old. As a medical researcher, I always believed my biggest challenge would be eradicating disease, not confronting betrayal from my own sister. The silence in that hospital room was suffocating as my mother hurled those words at me. Juliet needed a bone marrow transplant, and I was the only match. The same Juliet who, 8 months earlier, had deliberately sabotaged my research project and destroyed everything I worked for. Would you risk your own future to save someone who ruined yours? Before I tell you how I uncovered the truth that changed everything, comment where you're watching from and follow for more stories like this one. Growing up in our suburban Hartford, Connecticut home, I always felt like the odd piece in a carefully crafted picture-perfect puzzle. Our house was a charming colonial with navy shutters, trimmed hedges, and a flag that never missed a day in the breeze. On the outside we were the model upper-middle-class family. But inside I lived forever in the shadows of Juliet. Juliet was 4 years older, with the same honey-blonde hair and soft blue eyes as our parents. She had our mother's delicate smile and our father's poised posture. I, on the other hand, had thick, auburn curls, emerald eyes, and a quiet demeanor that made me stand out like a misprint in family portraits. And the differences didn't stop there. Every accomplishment of mine seemed to dissolve when compared to hers. On my 9th birthday, I received a small homemade cake. A few weeks later, Juliet's 13th birthday featured a DJ, catered dessert bar, and custom gift boxes for every guest. My parents explained that Juliet had more friends and needed these experiences. When I brought home straight A's in 5th grade, my report card earned a brief pat on the shoulder before disappearing into a drawer. When Juliet raised her D's to C's that same year, she was rewarded with a shopping spree and a new phone for her remarkable progress. Christmas followed the same pattern. Juliet unwrapped a gleaming pile of presents while I received mostly useful gifts. Books, sweaters, things my mother called practical. One Christmas, when I was 11, Juliet got a brand new digital camera. I unwrapped a refurbished laptop with a sticker still on the side from a resale shop. When I showed the slightest disappointment, my mother whispered sharply, "Don't be ungrateful, Ilara. Your gifts cost less because you're simpler to please." Juliet learned early how to weaponize that favoritism. She mastered the art of appearing innocent while pinning every mishap on me. A shattered vase, cookies mysteriously gone, scratched furniture. I was always blamed. And my parents always believed her. But the incident with the dress haunts me most. When I was 9, my mother bought Juliet a gorgeous emerald dress for a relative's wedding. The night before the event, Juliet sliced tiny holes into the seams and pretended to find the damage in the morning. Crying dramatically, she accused me of jealousy and scissors play. Despite my sobbing denials, I was grounded for 3 weeks. Juliet smirked as I was sent upstairs. That evening, I heard mother and sister laughing together while choosing an even more extravagant replacement dress. These experiences shaped me into someone fiercely self-reliant, someone who chased academic validation in place of affection. While Juliet built popularity and admiration, I found refuge in science, books, and nature documentaries. By high school, we lived under the same roof but inhabited 2 different worlds, hers filled with sparkle, mine with solitude. My grandmother, my mother's mother, was the only person who saw me clearly. During summer trips to her cottage in rural Maine, she treated Juliet and me equally. Sometimes she watched me with a knowing look. "You carry a light they don't understand, Ilara," she once told me while we rolled cookie dough. "You may not match them, but that doesn't make you any less. Some families hide secrets behind pretty curtains." I didn't know what she meant then, but her cryptic words would echo loudly years later. When I was 15, a school project about ancestry uncovered the first real clue. Searching through family albums, I found endless baby pictures of Juliet wrapped in hospital blankets, cradled by beaming parents. But for me, the earliest photos showed a baby already sitting up, smiling at toys, clearly older than a newborn. When I asked my mother why there were no infant photos of me, she snapped the album shut so fast the cover cracked. "We were busy when you came. Some people don't have any baby pictures, Stop digging for drama where there is none. Her reaction was unervingly defensive. When I gently pressed again, asking why there were no hospital photos, her anger exploded. You are such an ungrateful child. You have a beautiful home and every chance in life, yet you complain about photographs. I learned then that truth was unwelcome, so I stopped asking. But a seed of doubt had taken root. Nothing quite added up. I began counting down the days until I could leave, until I could build a life where I wasn't dismissed or overlooked. That day came when my acceptance letter arrived from the Silverwood College of Medicine, a prestigious school in Denver, Colorado, with a full academic scholarship covering tuition, housing, everything. My hands shook as I reread the letter 3 times, terrified it might disappear. I thought maybe, finally, my parents would be proud. They weren't. Denver, my father mumbled. That's quite far. Medical school is a lot of pressure for someone like you, my mother sighed. Before I could respond, Juliet burst through the front door declaring she had been selected for a local modeling campaign. As usual, their enthusiasm shifted instantly to her. They spent the night planning her glamorous future, while my acceptance letter became a coaster beneath my father's coffee mug. That fall, I packed my life into 2 suitcases and left Hartford without looking back. And that was the start of my real life. Medical school was everything people warned about. Overwhelming, relentless, and I thrived in it. For the first time, my hard work wasn't a threat to anyone. I spent countless late nights in the library, fueled by ambition and cheap coffee, memorizing biochemical pathways and hematological disorders. While many students crumbled, I found purpose in every challenge. During my second year, I met Dr. Sienna Arden, a brilliant hematologist with a sharp mind and a warm spirit. After one of her lectures on rare blood disorders, I stayed behind to ask questions. One question turned into a 2-hour conversation. You see connections others miss, she told me. Research is in your bones, Ilara. Under her guidance, I discovered my passion for uncovering rare blood abnormalities, tracking diseases at the microscopic level, unraveling mysteries that could save lives. I graduated at the top of my class and published my first research paper before finishing residency. An analysis on an uncommon form of anemia that earned recognition in medical journals across the country. Eventually, I was invited into an elite fellowship at the Vanguard Institute for Hematologic Innovation in San Francisco, one of the most advanced research facilities in the Western Hemisphere. Despite hesitation about returning to the East Coast later, I couldn't turn down the opportunity. At Vanguard, I led a research team developing modified stem cell therapies for treatment-resistant leukemias. Our approach had the potential to save thousands who had exhausted every known treatment. My closest colleague was Dr. Orion Chen, a geneticist with a sarcastic wit and a heart of gold. He became my best friend, and the first person who truly understood me. You work like someone trying to outrun her past, Orion said one night while we analyzed data well past midnight. His words hit closer than he knew. By my 3rd year we achieved a breakthrough. Our modified stem cells showed stunning precision, targeting cancer cells while protecting healthy tissue. One Friday afternoon, Dr. Braxton Hale, the Institute's director, summoned me to his office. Ilara, your recent trials are extraordinary, he said, sliding a folder toward me. We're establishing a new division for personalized cellular therapies with a $3 million yearly budget, and the board wants you to lead it. My breath caught. Everything I had worked for, validation, recognition, purpose, was finally within reach. But that triumph became the peak before the plummet. Because the person I had spent nearly a decade trying to forget walked back into my life. It started on a Monday like any other. I was reviewing data when Orion appeared in the doorway, eyebrows raised. Ilara, someone's here for you. I looked up and froze. Juliet stood in the entrance looking like a runway illusion come to life. Her golden hair perfectly curled, designer heels clicking against the tile, perfume wafting toward me like a memory I never wanted. It's been too long, Elle, she chirped, arms spread wide. 6 years had passed since our last strained encounter at our grandmother's funeral. Now she was invading the one world I'd worked to build without her. How did you? Mom told me you were making waves at some fancy science place, she said lightly. Thought I'd surprise you. Let's do lunch. We have so much to catch up on. Orion raised a cautious brow, but after a silent plea from Juliet's eyes, I reluctantly agreed. Over a painfully extravagant lunch nearby, Juliet caught me up on her latest dramas. Her brief modeling career in Los Angeles had fizzled out. Then she married a wealthy tech investor, only to divorce him 14 months later due to his infidelity. The industry is brutal, she sighed dramatically. Once you hit 30, you're ancient. Then she leaned in, expression softening unexpectedly. I know I wasn't the best sister, she said quietly. But I want a real relationship, the kind we never had. The lonely part of me, the part that still wished for a sister, wanted to believe her. And when she mentioned that our mother asked about me, I caved. We began seeing each other. Coffee drop-ins, lunches, long calls. She asked about my research constantly. So this therapy changes the cells. How exactly again? What makes your treatment different? What do you mean by genetic targeting? Draw it for me. Each question felt curious, but also calculated. I ignored the warning signs. I wanted to believe she cared. Until Orion approached me with worry stamped across his face. I saw Juliet having drinks with Dr. Raphael Cross yesterday. My stomach tightened. Cross was our fiercest competitor, heading a similar program at a facility in New York City, determined to beat us to clinical success. A coincidence, I whispered, but the fear was already lodged in my ribs. 2 days later, disaster struck. The backup drive holding our newest data, and the protocol that made our therapy revolutionary, vanished. Security found no record of unauthorized access. Then Cross published a paper announcing a breakthrough identical to ours. My world began to fracture. While the Institute launched an internal investigation, suspicion clouded our halls. Footage revealed Juliet entering the building late one night, using my missing access card, and leaving with an overstuffed bag. Dr. Hale looked torn as he confronted me. Ilara, did you give your sister clearance to the lab? No, my voice trembled. She must have stolen it. But the damage was done. The board revoked my pending promotion. I was removed from the head of my research. My reputation, once gleaming, was tarnished. And Juliet vanished. Mission accomplished. That night, I confronted her at the upscale hotel where she'd been staying. She opened the door smirking, mask finally off. What did you expect? She shrugged. I'm tired of being the disappointment while you rise higher and higher. Cross paid very well for your precious data. You could have helped save lives, I whispered, tears burning. Why? Because everyone cares about Ilara, she snapped. The genius. Prodigy. I was always the flawed one. Well, now I have something you don't. Her satisfied grin carved itself into my nightmares. My world collapsed. The Institute didn't fire me. Too many legal entanglements, but I was placed under surveillance like a rookie intern. Whispers followed me everywhere. I became a ghost, dragging myself through each day with a hollow heart. My parents refused to believe Juliet was responsible. You're making up stories, they said. Juliet would never do that. Seek help. Even when she confessed her jealousy, they dismissed it as stress or theatrics. I had been thrown away again. In the months that followed, I withdrew from everyone, including Orion. Depression tightened around me like a vice. I questioned every part of who I was and why I was always the one who lost. Until one morning, Orion showed up at my apartment holding coffee and resolve. You can stay like this, he said gently, or you can fight. Not for accolades, for yourself. How? Research. It's what you do best. There were always things about your family that didn't add up. Maybe it's time to investigate the truth. His words sparked something long buried. There had always been questions, differences, secrets, and I was done being lied to. My investigation began with the woman who had always seen me, my grandmother. She now lived at Evergreen Pines Memory Center. Dementia had begun erasing her present, but her past often surfaced vividly. When I arrived, she was staring out a window at the courtyard roses. "Grandma, it's me, Ilara," I said softly. She blinked, and suddenly I was recognized. "Ilara, the one with the green eyes," she smiled weakly. "Not like the others." Her frail hand lifted to touch my curls. "Do you remember when I was born?" Yes. She frowned. Confusion clouded her eyes. Then cleared. "Not born," she whispered. "You came later. Your mother, after the second one, she was broken. The little boy couldn't breathe. 3 days old. Doctor said no more children. But she wanted another so badly." A chill washed over me. "The second one." "Press. The baby boy," she murmured. "Evan. He died. Your mother couldn't accept it. Then you arrived, 6 months old. Treat her the same," they told her. Before I could ask more, she slipped back into fragmented memories. But she had given me the thread I needed. The next weekend, while my parents attended a charity banquet, I unlocked our old house with a spare key they didn't know I still had. The basement storage room contained my mother's meticulously labeled files: birth certificates, insurance records, medical histories. Juliet's original birth certificate was there. Mine. A certified copy issued when I was already 1 year old. Strange. But not enough. Then I found a file with my mother's obstetrical history. Pregnancy number 1. Juliet Voss, healthy. Pregnancy number 2. Evan Voss, male, deceased after 3 days. Pregnancy number 3, none. There was no record of me. Heart pounding, I opened another box and found an envelope from New Horizons Adoption Agency, dated the year before I entered the family. Proof. But I needed more, someone outside the family. I drove straight to the home of Mrs. Calloway, the elderly neighbor who had lived next door since before I was born. She offered me tea and that familiar soft smile. "I'm doing a family history project," I lied. "Do you remember when I came home as a baby?" Her smile faded. "Oh dear," she set down her cup, hands trembling. "You were around 6 months old when they brought you home. Oh, quiet. So beautiful. After the tragedy with the infant boy. Everyone was relieved when they found you. So the whole street knew." I whispered. "At first, yes. But your parents stopped talking about it. By the time you were in school, they acted as if you were always theirs." Tears prickled my eyes. "And Juliet. She was only 4 then. I doubt she remembered." I thanked her and left with confirmation that the life I had known was built on secrecy. I took a DNA test. For weeks I waited, torn between dread and validation. When the email finally arrived, the results were unmistakable. Crossmark 0% genetic relation to my parents. Crossmark 0% relation to Juliet. White heavy checkmark I was adopted. Completely. The truth didn't break me. It unshackled me. I wasn't unworthy. I wasn't defective. I didn't fail to belong. I was never meant to fit there. But I wasn't ready for what came next. My phone rang late one evening. It was my mother, and she sounded terrified. "Ilara, please. Come to Starlight Medical Center as soon as you can. It's Juliet. She's very ill." "What's wrong?" I asked, heart pounding. "She has acute myeloid leukemia," she choked. "They say she needs a transplant immediately." The irony was cruel. I had spent years trying to cure the very disease now killing my sister. Despite everything, I went. The oncology ward smelled like antiseptic and fear. My parents looked smaller somehow, aged by panic. Moments later, Dr. Nisha Raman, the oncologist, explained the situation. "The leukemia is aggressive. Chemotherapy is underway, but a bone marrow transplant is her best chance." My parents were tested. Not matches. Dr. Raman turned to me. "You're her sibling. You're our best hope." My chest tightened. They didn't know I wasn't related. I agreed to testing. Juliet's room was dim. She was pale, fragile, a ghost of the glamorous force she'd been. "You came," she whispered. "Of course," I answered. Because that's who I was. I did take your research, she admitted suddenly, tears forming. I ruined things for you. And now I'm dying from what you were trying to cure. Karma's vicious, huh? I said nothing. I didn't know what to feel. The next day the results came in. I was a close match. Close enough. My mother burst into grateful tears. My father gripped my shoulder. When can we schedule the procedure? He demanded. Wait, Dr. Rahman interjected. Ilara must decide freely. Bone marrow donation is invasive and painful. But my mother cut her off sharply. She'll do it. It's her duty as family. Family. The word stung like a burn. I need time to think, I said. My mother followed me into the hall. What is there to think about? She snapped. After everything we've done for you. You lied to me for over 30 years, I cut in. She froze. I know I'm adopted. I confirmed it with DNA. Her face drained of color. That doesn't matter, she recovered. We raised you. You owe us. You owe Juliet. The word "owe" shattered the last illusion. The next morning, I walked into the hospital waiting area where my entire extended family had gathered. Juliet sat weakly in her wheelchair, center stage as always. I have something to say, I announced. Everyone fell silent. For years, I wondered why I never belonged in this family. Now I know. I was adopted. None of you are biologically related to me. Shock rippled across the room. Juliet stared at our parents, betrayed. You never told me. It doesn't change anything, my mother insisted. It explains everything, I replied, voice steady. How you treated me. How you never believed me. How Juliet always came first. This isn't about the past, my mother barked. This is about saving your sister. I looked at Juliet. When you destroyed my career, did you think about saving my life? I asked quietly. She looked away, unable to answer. I've already arranged for a nationwide bone marrow search, I said, standing tall. There are thousands of donors out there. And one of them could be a better match than me. And if not, my father demanded. Then I will reconsider, I said. But I will not sacrifice myself for a family that never saw me as their own. Gasps filled the room. My mother hissed. How can you be so heartless? I met her eyes. How could you? Then I walked away. For the first time choosing myself. 6 months passed. Juliet received a transplant from a college student in Arizona. A superior match. She recovered well, currently in remission. My parents reached out many times, their messages shifting from anger to apologies to guilt. I responded kindly but maintained distance. Meanwhile, Orion helped me rebuild. Dr. Arden contacted me about a position at a cutting-edge research center in Portland, Oregon. Fresh start. Accepted. And something unexpected blossomed between Orion and me. Something gentle. Real. I also found who I truly came from. After hiring a specialist, I located my biological mother, Lydia Rowan, a high school biology teacher in Vancouver, Washington. We exchanged letters, then calls, then finally met. We shared the same eyes, the same laugh, the same hunger to understand the world at its smallest scale. I always loved you, she told me. Even when I wasn't allowed to keep you. Piece by piece, I reclaimed my identity. And in therapy, I relearned what love is supposed to feel like. 1 year after that hospital confrontation, I stood on stage at a medical ethics conference, sharing my story. To anyone who has felt like an outsider in their own home, I concluded. Remember, family is not defined by blood. Family is defined by love, honesty, and chosen connection. Sometimes the family we were born into is not the one meant to hold us. The audience applauded warmly, but the real victory was inside me. For the first time I belonged to myself. And that was enough.